Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're unpacking a truly incredible rags-to-riches story. The story of a guy named Arjun. But look, what's really fascinating here isn't just the crazy amount of money he made. It's the exact replicable steps he took to get there. We're going to use his journey to figure out the literal blueprint for building a billion-dollar empire. So this isn't just some feel-good story, it's a highly strategic roadmap for us.
Right, so let's tackle the ultimate puzzle. How on earth do you build a billion-dollar empire from absolutely nothing? To figure this out, we're looking at a guy who quite literally started with an empty stomach on a freezing rainy street, totally ignored by everyone passing by, and somehow he ended up building a massive conglomerate that changed thousands of lives.
You know, when reporters eventually caught up with him at his massive corporate headquarters, they all wanted to know his secret. Was it luck? Being in the right place at the right time? But Arjun totally shut that down. He told them, I wasn't lucky, I was consistent. And that's huge. We always want to blame massive success on a lucky break, right? But Arjun rejects that completely. Consistency is, let's be honest, way harder to master than just waiting around to get lucky, but it's infinitely more reliable. And that philosophy, that's the anchor for our whole explainer today.
Section 1. The Rock Bottom Beginning.
Let's set the stage. Picture that cold, rainy night. He's exhausted, wearing torn clothes, sleeping on the side of the road. We're looking at a massive gap here. We're starting at absolute zero, invisible to speeding cars, totally impoverished. And we're tracking his path all the way to becoming a literal billionaire, rolling up in a luxury car, using his wealth to build shelters and schools. It's an absolutely staggering transformation, and we're here to figure out exactly how he crossed that chasm.
In those early days, people actually laughed at him, like right to his face. They told him he'd never amount to anything, just collecting plastic bottles and sweeping streets for a few pennies. But he just smiled. He had this crazy internal drive saying, I may have nothing today, but one day I'll prove that hard work can change everything. Notice that his validation didn't come from anyone else. When the whole world is telling you it's impossible, having that unshakable belief that your hard work will pay off, that is step one of this blueprint. He completely refused to let everyone else's negativity mess with his mindset.
Moving on to Section 2, the power of self-education.
So Arjun figured out pretty quickly that before he could scale up a business, he had to scale his mind. And here's the best part. His entire education was completely free. After a back-breaking day of cleaning streets, he didn't just crash. He treated learning like a compounding asset. He'd spend hours at the public library reading books. He watched free business lessons on public computers. He aggressively taught himself how to save money, how to invest, and the basics of entrepreneurship, literally without spending a single dime on formal schooling. He just knew that knowledge had to come before the cash.
When you map this out on a timeline, it's basically the compounding effect in action. The day-to-day grind of scavenging bought him just enough survival to spend months on intense self-education. And those months of studying, that directly fueled the years of business growth that followed, because he methodically used those tiny savings to launch his very first venture. He was trading short-term micro-actions for massive long-term leverage.
All right, Section 3, scaling through consistency. So how exactly do months of reading at a library translate into actual real-world business growth? Well, it starts super small. Step 1 was literally just buying a handcart to sell tea and snacks. That's it. But he combined his new business knowledge with this relentless dedication to treating every single customer with total respect and kindness. And that built incredible loyalty. That tiny cart eventually became Step 2, his first actual shop. And because consistency scales, that one shop turned into Step 3, a massive supermarket chain, which of course led to Step 4, a giant corporate headquarters with hundreds of employees. It's the ultimate proof that stacking small, consistent wins builds the foundation for something extraordinary.
And what I find absolutely wild about this is that when he finally achieved all of it, arriving at that massive HQ in his luxury car, he didn't credit some genius pivot or a secret investor. He credited failure. He said, every failure taught me a lesson, and every sunrise gave me another chance. It totally flips how we usually think about messing up, doesn't it? To him, failure was just data collection. You figure out what went wrong, tweak your approach, and try again the next day.
Which brings us to Section 4, the true measure of success.
Now you might think hitting billionaire status was the finish line for him, but no, not even close. Just look at what he did with the money. He used his massive wealth to build his shelter on the exact same road he used to sleep on. He opened a school for the community. He set up a free food center.
He was out there, personally handing meals to kids who were in the exact same spot he once was. Talk about a full circle moment.
And this completely redefines our whole concept of success. To Arjun, the fancy car and the big corporate building were just tools. True success was the actual, tangible impact he could have on the community that used to ignore him. It really makes you stop and think. Are we measuring our own success just by what's in our bank account or by the number of lives we're changing? It shifts the whole goal from just accumulating stuff to actually contributing.
And that leaves us with the ultimate formula from his journey. Hard work plus patience plus consistency equals success. Period. It is absolute proof that your future isn't locked in by wherever you happen to be right now. It's built by your daily discipline and your total refusal to give up on your own potential.
So I want to leave you with this one thought. Arjun's blueprint proves that no matter where you're starting today, consistency is going to beat luck every single time. You have the formula now. You've seen exactly how the architecture of ambition actually works. The only question left for you is, what is your first small step going to be tomorrow morning?